Welcome to ATB TV. I'm Darren Dance here with the great Peter Morganti. How are you, Pete?
Yeah, good, Darren. Yourself? I don't
You're
mind
looking
these
well
Zoom
there on
meetings.
Zoom.
I don't mind these Zoom meetings. It means we're indoors.
Well, for those that have just joined us, they probably didn't see Pete had a big pavlova sitting right next to him there. And we've got a special guest here. Special guest, one of the champion trainers from down at Warrnambool Way, Mr. Pat Ryan. Pat, welcome to ATB TV.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here. It's the best place to be at Warrnambool at the moment. 25 mil of rain today, I think, so nice and warm, tucked in inside.
Mate, yeah, you can have your horse training on days like this, I say, and COVID-19 has stopped me from going to Warrnambool today to watch one of ours, so what's the downside, I'm starting to think. Yeah. Anyway, Pete, I'm going to let you lead off with these the first insightful, hard-hitting question for Mr. Pat Ryan.
Heavy hitting, Darren. Bit of Mike Willisy here. Pat, welcome aboard. Obviously, last 2 or 3 or 4 months, you've had a few ATB horses come your way, and there's a lot of our owners out there that want to know a little bit about yourself. Come from a rich racing background. Just give us a bit of a snapshot where it's all started and to where you are now today.
Look, I grew up in racing. My uncle's Pat Islands, he doesn't need much of an introduction, so obviously he's a legend of the racing. So I used to follow him when he was a jockey and then as a trainer. My father, how my mother and father got together was through Pat Island. So my father was a jockey back in the Pat Island days as well. So he was pretty successful flat jockey and then a jumps jockey and then hobby trained a bit like I have at the imminent of my career. So a lot of family involved in racing, and then of course the offspring of that is guys like Sammy Highland, who was a jockey, and my brother Simon, who was a jumps jockey. So fairly rich Victorian country racing background to my upbringing. So there was always a chance that I was going to put the toe into racing, I think.
Set up there at Warrnambool. I'll just ask this question, Darren. Sorry, we're flying off a sheet here, guys. We're running real well. Warrnambool, great place to train.
Yeah, it's good. There's obviously a lot of different facilities we can use, but probably the biggest draw card is the beaches. And obviously, there's been from when I started to now a massive influx of horses. So when I started at the Warrnambool Beach, you might see 4 or 5 other horses, and then at sort of at the highest peak, I think there might have been 180 horses going to the beach in one morning. So obviously there was a massive influx very quickly when a lot of success hit. And but now it's stabilised and everyone's got a good system of how to use the beach. And obviously I'm luckier than most that I've got what's called an historical Killarney licence, which is another beach just down the road, which I can use all year round when the other ones are closed or a bit busy. So good facilities. There's a lot of tracks, country tracks for the provincial horses around here. And yeah, obviously when one big trainer leaves, another one steps in. There's always seems to be a lot of winners trained out of Warrnambool at the moment.
Pat, just on that beach question, what is it about the beach? What is it that makes it so good for the horses?
Look, everyone has a different angle. Some people say it's the cold water. I've heard an explanation recently of the most purest air you can get is the first feet off sea border. That might be true. Could be the use of the heavy sand. I find that very hot horses that are very anxious relax very well at the beach. So it's probably a combination of a lot of them, I'd say. But I think if you could, I know a lot of times, probably once a week, I'll drive to Narrawong Beach, which is an hour drive, but I might do 10 kilometres on a horse. I might trot and canter, warm up 2 or 3 kilometres. I might do pace work for 3 or 4 kilometres and warm down a couple of kilometres, and they barely have a sweat. If I did that at the track, well, you know, the RSPCA would be knocking at the door because they'd be that exhausted. So you can get a lot more work into them just through the relaxation. They're not reefing and tearing. It's not as a competitive environment. So I think for me, that's the big key. But also, I think the soundness with going to the cold water, and a softer surface as well helps.
Okay.
Very hands-on. Obviously, ride a lot of your own horses. Your team at the moment, obviously, we'll just go into the partnership you've just formed, but you've roughly got 15 to 20 horses. Would that be right, Pat?
Yeah, we've got about 15 horses at the moment, and a few yearlings and whatnot at breakers. We're going to have to, I think, talking to the stewards, to get the partnership over the line, we're going to have to bump it up to about 25, I think they want. So, but that'll come quick enough, I think. But yeah, we've got a mixture of a few. We've got sort of a few yearling types and a lot of old tried horses at the moment that we'll try and get the best out of.
Pat, just a question without notice. So what have you been doing for the last 20 years apart from training, what, half a dozen, 10 horses?
Yeah, so my background, I was a psychology teacher for a number, probably 12 or 13 years, and then I did a postgrad in psychology as well, and worked as a provisional psychologist at a special development school. Up until probably 18 months or so ago, I was teaching at the TAFE, psychology at the TAFE, and doing some provisional psychologist work throughout the community. And then, but I was probably always trying to get out the door very quickly so I could get back to the few horses that I had. So, yeah, I always limited the numbers to suit around work, but yeah, probably I never really had more than 2 to 4 horses in work at any one time, I suppose, up until more recently.
So now you're full-time into the horse business?
Yeah, I bought a property about 18 months ago, just out of about 7 or 8K out of Warrnambool, and yeah, we're slowly developed that up. It's come, all the stables are finished, and we'll put a little track in here. The day paddocks are done, so we're pretty much finished out here, and then we'll try and build a nice little team of horses between Simon and myself over the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
Are you doing any psychology work now? Because Pete's got a list of our clients there that are looking for referrals.
Some horses
too. If I get my builder mates or plumber mates to do some work, they always charge, but when they ring up me whinging about the missus, no charge.
Just touching there, obviously we mentioned the partnership. You want to elaborate and just give us a little bit of an insight on Simon?
Yeah, so Simon, when I actually did my postgrad, I got bored pretty quickly, so I bought a horse up there called Royal Az at a tri-horse sale who ran second over the Magic Millions Carnival and won at Doomben while I was up there, and I had him stationed at Simon's stables. He had just started off training, and we got along really well. He then got a private training job over in Perth and trained some good winners. He won the Sires in Perth, I think might have won the Derby and Kalgoorlie Cup and places like that, races like that over there. And he ended up getting a stint in Korea, and he was the leading trainer in Korea. He's trained the most winners of any international trainer in Korea, but yeah, particularly in the last 18 months, he had the champion horse of Korea called Dalkong, and he went to Dubai and won one of the lead-up races by 7 lengths to the Dubai World Cup, and then was beaten unluckily by the eventual Dubai World Cup winner in the next heat, and then started about third favourite in the Dubai World Cup, but he just ran his race by then and didn't do too good in the Dubai World Cup. As Koreans go, the owner wasn't too happy and whipped all the horses off him, and he thought it was probably time to move on. So I was having to talk to him. I said, why don't you come over to Warrnambool and see how you like it, and if you like it, we can. He's a single bloke, and he's got more of ability to travel and develop the biggest stable than what I had. So between the two of us, and we've all probably both got our niches. You know, he's had a lot of luck with young sprinting type of horses, and I've had a lot of luck with older staying type of horses. So between the two of us, we probably hopefully got a lot of the bases covered.
Simon Foster, we're talking about too.
So from Perth to Korea to Dubai to Queensland to Warrnambool.
That's him.
It's like, is that an upward move on weather?
Yeah. He hasn't unpacked the bag either, so.
Is he sitting on top of the heater? Like, does he actually get to track work?
Yeah, well, see, he showed me Korea got to negative 24 degrees. They used to train and race in the snow. So he's not minding it at the moment compared to Korea.
Good on you.
Speaking, Simon's single. Your family involved, like your wife and kids. Obviously, Carly probably does all the bookwork, counts all the money.
Yeah.
Doesn't take long, does it?
Yeah, Carly gets it. Carly doesn't know a lot about racing. She'd never seen a horse before I met her, but I think she's the luckiest owner. Every horse I've put her in, I think the first one was Video Star. The next one was a horse called Electric Ernie, 4 stars for 4 wins. And every time I buy her a couple of $1,000 horse, it seems to do something. So she seems to be a lucky owner. So I keep her in a couple of horses.
We've got a few shares
she needs to get in a couple with us, Pete.
Yeah.
Agree.
Like all women, it's hard to get it off her.
Just going, I'll just continue with the family side. Obviously, you're a younger twin, and Sean, who is well known in the AFL ranks as an umpire. He's forged a great career himself.
Yeah, he's taking credit to having umpired 9 AFL grand finals, but if you look closely at the 2010 grand final, I might have substituted in that year because no, I actually umpired a year with him when we were kids, like 12 or 13 years. But when the parents started abusing over the fence, I quickly got out. But he's got a thicker skin. He's a barrister by trade as well, so he's used to copping abuse from all angles. But he's living the life at the moment in Queensland in quarantine. But I think he's umpired about 9 AFL grand finals. He had a hiatus there for about 3 years, where because of the constant bouncing, he was getting cortisone injections in his back. But then after he gave it away, they gave away the bouncing other than the start of the game, I think. So he went back to it. And he's got 3 young kids as well. So the story, I had to do a Zoom with the AFL because I was a special guest on his behalf of the AFL a few weeks ago. And I was telling him how he said when he came back, it was on the proviso he didn't do interstate games and only trained once a week because he had a young family. And then after weekends with the young family of the kids, he's suddenly become available for all interstate games. He was training 3 days a week.
He doesn't come down to you.
He's done really well. He's managed to gel the family life and the barrister and the AFL. So I'm not sure how long he'll keep.
Yep, terrific.
Is he involved in the horses at all?
He rings me and lets me know. He loves the horses. He hasn't really been in too much ownership, but he follows a lot of the horses, and he'll ring me up and give me his feedback.
I would have thought Pete, being an umpire would be a fantastic apprenticeship to being a horse trainer, particularly when you're copping ownership feedback.
I was just going to say, they go hand in hand.
I think the horse trainers sometimes have got to admit fault, but I've never heard of an umpire admit fault.
Yeah. Just back to a personal level, obviously a Warrnambool boy, experienced one of the great, one of your highlights would have been winning the Warrnambool Cup with Video Star.
That was really good, especially because Sammy Highland, he rode it, and Peter Mertens, I think Peter Mertens won the Roy Higgins on it and a couple other city races leading into the Warrnambool Cup, and Sam rang me and said, I'm going to ride that in the Warrnambool Cup. I said, no, you're not. And so he got his mother to ring my mother. My mother then rang me and said, Sam is riding in the Warrnambool Cup. So he's only got the little snake, and he had the roll and won. So, and that was early on. That was, really the first, the second season of training. So it was quite good. And then the first year, my first ever runner was a 100-to-1 winner at the May Carnival, and then I won the Cup the next year, and then the next year I had a 1,000-to-1 double at the carnival, and then I went and finished my, and then I went to Queensland and finished my uni off. So I had a break from the carnival for 4 or 5 years. So it's been a good, the Warrnambool Mate Carnival, always try and set a horse up to try and win there, because for us, it's our spring carnival, really, if you're training Warrnambool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. One of the great carnivals. Obviously, you know, myself coming from Warrnambool, you know, we want to win those races. Been lucky enough to win a Warrnambool Cup and a Wangoon, but we're not done yet, Pete, are we?
No, Yogi was close for us, Darren, a couple of years back, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. Pat might train it for us.
Let's hope so.
Yep. Got a beat. Pat, 5 horses I think we've got down with your stable at the moment. Pretty much all got a lot of Ks on the clock, or got their share of issues. What can you tell us about the ones that you've got there with ATB at the moment?
I think I sent the report about old Penthouse Playboy. He's sort of, it's an unusual injury that he's got. He's thrown a splint bone in the opposite direction, and a ligament just keeps running against it, and he's consistent backing up. He seems to just pull up a bit sore. So there's an option for the boys to look at there, whether they want to give him a break and race him sparingly, or I'll let you guys decide about that one. There's a lovely little American horse there called Minotauri. He's just a lovely horse to have in the stable, a real character. He's got a lot of presence about him, and he marches around like he's Tom Cruise. He's a real favourite. He was quite an anxious, highly strung horse, but now he's really relaxed. And I thought his first 2 trials were okay, but, you know, would struggle to go to the next level based on them. But I just felt like he's too good of a type and too good of a mover. And I just thought he might have been spinning his wheels in the heavy 10s. And then when we put him in a nice sort of slow 5 trial at Caston, I thought he was really good. He jumped, ran. I think he's a horse that you need to roll it at near his top the whole way, and he just keeps lengthening off his top. If you held him up, he won't have a blistering turn of foot. His advantage will be able to grind him into the ground just through toughness. So I'm looking forward to getting him to the races, because he's really going well. He'll run at Caston Sunday week. Maisie Motion's really lovely actioned horse, a bit like when Minotauri came, very highly strung and anxious. When you're sitting on it, you can feel her heart beating and racing, just walking around. So she just needs a lot of sort of time on legs. Well, I used to do a lot of running, I lived in Ballarat and was part of the running crew of Steve Monteghetti's running crew, and he used to say TOL, it's all time on legs. So a lot of Europeans train the same. A horse like her will benefit from being saddled and just walked a mile, trotted a couple of miles, cantered a couple of miles, walked a mile, and just spent time with her, so she just relaxes and unwinds a bit. But very, very good moving horse, lovely clean in the wind. Little Periscope is, he's another dude. You wouldn't get a quieter horse than him. I said he'll come straight from the stable when he's finished to my little 10-year-old. I think he's a really lovely horse. Do anything with him. A bomb could go off and he wouldn't blink. A miniature version of Golden Flag. He's a Raise the Flag that I got off the junk heap last year, and he just missed out in the Jericho. Very similar horse, looks the same, a little bit shorter, but possibly a little bit better turn of foot. He'll be interested to see where he gets to, because his form doesn't look outstanding at the moment, but I think there's a little key to those Raise the Flags that of endurance. You know, as soon as you get them beyond 2,500 metres, not many Raise the Flags show much until you get to 2,500 metres. So if we can keep him sound and hard fit, I'd be interested to see where he lies come those, if we can get him into those Jericho Replicharge races or something like that. But he's a nice little horse, and the other one hasn't arrived yet. Must be still in the paddock. Yeah.
Yogi's sister.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But they've all got some upside, and hopefully we can get the best out of them, and we'll keep the bar low and just keep on trying to raise it.
Beautiful.
Well, I haven't got too many more hard-hitting questions.
You run out of ideas, have you, Pete? Well,
I ran Ran out of paper, Darren.
Okay. I guess, look, Pat, it's been a pleasure to have you on board. I think we've really enjoyed your updates, certainly your approach, the fact that you can get to the beach every day of the year, and just the way you go about it. It's refreshing for us. When you've got these horses and you've got clients involved, and they all love their horse, and to hear that they can get time on legs for a mile here, a mile there, or 3 miles there, and they're probably out of their box for quite a while. We know they're in good hands, but it'll be good when COVID's finished and some of these owners can come down and get to annoy you firsthand and get to meet you and the team. But my final question for you would be, if you could win any race in Australia, what would be the one race you'd want to win in your career?
Ooh. I would think it would be the Melbourne Cup. I grew up watching Pat Olam trying to win the Melbourne Cup. On every family thing that we had, he would just be absorbed. He had a few favourite rides, and we'd all sit there as young kids watching them. And I remember Affinity was favourite, won the Caulfield Cup, and ran 5th, and then another one ran 3rd, and then he had a fall, was going to retire, made a comeback, and in the last 2 years of his life, he won the Melbourne Cup. And I think obviously now, when I had horses like Video Star, who won, the Roy Higgins and the Warrnambool Cup, she was number 31 or 32 in order of ballot when the noms were released. She'd be number 300 now. So the bar's been lifted greatly in the last 15 or 20 years with the influx of internationals. But I really do like the thought of getting European horses and training them. I've had a couple of really nice European horses, but one of them was 12 or 13 years old, Condor Warrior, and I really enjoyed. And even Sign Off was an international. When I got him, but they were all sort of really busted by the time I got them. But the way I train a specific, I think, would suit the international type of cup style horses. So that'd be a dream. Just I had a horse we bought relatively cheaply years ago called Raffaello, and Rob, who's a good mate of mine, he gave it to me and said, get it into the Melbourne Cup. So I spent all my time, it was about the only horse I had to work, I spent all my time planning meticulously this Melbourne Cup path, Mind you, it would be 1 billion to 1, but I got him into the Lexus, and he was in the Lexus at 300 to 1, and he sat last, and Nikita Berryman come down the outside, and for 1 second, Miles said, Raffaello is coming! And I thought, oh my God. And he ran 4th in the end of Green Moon, and I thought, oh. And but for that fleeting moment, I thought, oh. And ever since, most of my life I've had some sort of dream to get one into the Melbourne Cup anyway.
Beautiful story.
We might just have to explore that a little bit further in the next 3 or 4 months. We might be able to just see if
we might be Minatory coming down the outside or something. We don't know.
But that would be a story.
I think we need something with the letters UK or IRE next to their breeding history. But I'm sure we could dig one out. I'm sure with COVID-19 going on up there now, the prices are coming down, and once quarantine closed, there'll be plenty of horses up there for sale for not a lot of money.
Yeah, the market's now, isn't it, for the international horses?
So get your checkbook ready, son.
You're talking to me.
Yeah. Well, Pat, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on, and it's a real pleasure to have you on board, and we look forward to working with you closely for as long as we can.
Good on you, lads. Thanks for the opportunity, and we'll do our best for you to get as many winners as we can.
Thanks,
Good on
Pat.
you, Pat. Thank you. Cheers.